Good afternoon. It is a hot day here on the West Coast. And I wanted to make a quick video about a recent sale I had. So as I was looking back through some sales over the past week or so, I came across one that was a book that I bought back in February at a bag sale. Now this bag sale is $1 a bag. So you can fill the bag with a lot of books. It ends up being really, really inexpensive per book. The books from that whole sourcing trip were 10 cents each. This one that I found was ranked over 1 million and now is once again ranked over 1 million. There's not that many copies. It's an older book from 1994 and it was in good shape. But the thing that really stood out to me is that all of the prices were over $60. So the lowest merchant fulfilled price was about $65 or so dollars. And it still is the case right now. So this was a book that does not sell a lot of copies. There's not even any reviews for it. The price was so high and it was so cheap to buy the book. Monthly storage fees are so low that I felt it made sense. And the book sat for only a few months until it sold. It sold for $66.50. And I was paid, I believe, $53. So 10 cents for the book, inbound shipping, monthly storage fees for 4 months equals incredible profit. So I like to share these kind of sales with you, especially if you're new, to get some motivation, some inspiration, and see that this kind of stuff can happen, and it can happen fairly frequently. This at least falls into the category of not necessarily long tail in general, but closer to long tail than to a short or midterm book, even though it only took 4 months to sell. But one of the reasons that it sold so quickly is how I priced it. So I priced it actually right at the lowest merchant fulfilled price, which was still ridiculously high. The different prices for the books are going anywhere from 65 all the way up to 100 or so. And could I have listed it for, let's say, $79.95, maybe even $89.95, maybe even $99? I could have. Would it have sold? Maybe. Perhaps yes, for sure. How long would it have taken? I don't know. Maybe it would have taken a year. Maybe it would have taken longer. Maybe less. I'm not sure. But I wanted to make sure that I sold it fairly quickly and still made a huge profit on it. When you get a book for 10 cents, it's almost free. You're spending next to nothing. 10 cents to source the book, about 16 cents for me on average to send it in, and then it sits for 4 months, so at most that is 8 cents. So we're talking less than 40 cents, about 35 cents for this book to sit in the warehouse for 4 months and to sell. Now, even if it would have sat there for a year, I could have made another 10, 15, maybe even $20, depending upon where I priced it. But I wanted to, that's the thing, I wanted to get the money faster than take longer. I felt like getting that $53 payout is going to make more sense to get it sooner, so I can just turn around and buy more inventory, and to wait to get a $70 payment, wait another 8 months, a year, however long it would have taken. Who knows? Maybe it wouldn't have taken that long, but I'm not certain. So the longer that I'm doing FBA, the more I realize that I like long tails, but I also like fast sales for huge profits. So I don't mind getting $10 or $15 less for a high-priced book, very profitable book, if I can sell it 6 or 8 months quicker than I would if I listed it much higher. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. It's up to everybody. The more books I get into inventory, the more I send in, the more I sell, the more I can wait for other books to sell, because the ones that are selling faster are more than covering the monthly storage fees for all of my books. That percentage or that chunk of the books that are long tail, they're gonna sit for 6 to 12 months on average, are paid for. I don't necessarily have to price it at or just below the lowest merchant fulfilled price for this kind of high priced book. But I like to have some of the long tails sell quicker than take a year to sell, or 6 months or 8 months. So if I can shrink my long tails down to, let's say, 6 to 8 months at most versus 12 to 16 months, then I don't mind doing that if I make a little bit less money. To each their own. It always depends, because on the book and also where I am at that point with my business. Sometimes I just want to move stuff quicker and just turn over the inventory a little bit faster. But this falls into the idea that I've talked about before, about the longer you do this business, the more long tails you get and the more books you find that have a lowest price of $65, even merchant fulfilled. I found a lot of those books over the past year and a half or so that I've been sourcing. Those books are out there. There's a lot of them. And they legitimately sell for over $50. And they're not just necessarily school books, but there's some that are just, they're in demand, a steady demand, and there are not that many copies out there. When you come across a book like that, you have to make a decision. Do I want to sell it quicker, so I price it right at the lowest MF price, or do I want to wait an additional however long it might be, 4 months, 6 months, a year? This one was 65. I priced it at 66. I priced it right at the lowest MF price. The next one above the 65 was jumped up to like $89. I figured the first person to come along, or the next person to come along that wants that book, is probably going to buy my copy, because not only is it not the cheapest, within really close to being the cheapest by maybe $1 or so, just in case that person repriced below me with a repricer. If they have Prime, then they're going to get it for sure. If they don't have Prime, though, they can still take advantage of the free shipping. Most people are gonna go for that. I took a look at my sales so far for June, and I'm over 100 sales now, about barely over halfway through the month. So hopefully it'll continue this way, and I'll get to at least 200 sales. Last month I had a lot of those quick selling CDs to bump up my sales numbers. So that was a little bit inflated because of those quick sellers, and a lot of those have sold off. So now we're into the CDs that are still selling CDs, but the CDs that are taking a little bit longer, but I still have a lot of them, several hundred to sell through. I'm excited about that, getting over 100 sales in the first about 17 days or so. Hopefully your sales are going well for June, because I know June in general is a little bit slower because it's summer. People are going to enjoy themselves, going on vacations, outside. They're not necessarily ordering stuff on Amazon as much. People are still ordering, don't get me wrong, but not as much as when back to school comes or the holidays start creeping around. Sales are still strong though. Hang in there for August, and you should sell a lot of books. Even if you don't have a ton of textbooks or school-related books per se that are obviously school-related, you should still see a bump in your sales. And as always, remember, keep booking.